Hey brothers, I don't know if any of you either of you saw my video from last week, um, but I'm gonna make sure you see this one. Not that I have a whole lot to say. I still haven't done the background work to make my intended videos, my backlog of subjects, start working. It's a very blue light, isn't it? Anyway, I was talking to someone recently and started thinking about the different things that I sort of collected or decided on in my 20s. I guess I'm probably still doing this, and I probably started before then, but things I decided would be sort of traditions for me, ways that I define my personality. The silly things are like I decided at one point that a gentleman always carries a handkerchief, and that I was a gentleman, which is, I don't know, it's a weird title to put on sometimes. I don't want to be one of those sort of fedora wearing, overconfident intellectuals. Anyway, started to make sure I always carried a handkerchief and a pen, and when possible, a pocket knife of some kind. I decided that if anybody ever stayed the night at my apartment or my home, wherever that was, I would make breakfast the next day. So friends from out of town, or if I hosted a party and people ended up crashing on my couch, they would wake up to me making bacon and pancakes, which is something I sort of pulled from Dad growing up. If he was home the morning after a sleepover, he would make breakfast and be kind of a big deal. Which, isn't ever really a tradition, but it's something that I remembered fondly and decided to carry forward. Let's see. Some of the things I decided I was going to be were probably poor decisions in retrospect. That I was going to be tolerant of how large amounts of alcohol. Probably not in my best interest. I fail to see the appeal in retrospect. Let's see. Certainly decided I was a feminist at one point in time, but it didn't really seem like there was a viable option otherwise. Definitely decided to own the nerd mantle. Traditions, though. Oh, maybe I still need to develop a few. I don't feel like I have many. Definitely started sort of rediscovering Polish food since I'm in Chicago. That stuff's delicious and not at all healthy. At least not the stuff I have. Definitely got more into cooking. Failed to get more into poetry, despite being really big into that in college. That fell off fairly quickly. It's a lot more convenient to be into things like that in college. And while a lot of academic stuff, intellectual stuff that I like from college sticks around and is easy to get online, I think poetry is a little bit more difficult, in part because there are so many amateur poets and poetry lovers out there that there's a signal to noise problem. And anybody who's into poetry or any form of medium, or whatever you're into, I think there's going to be a certain kind of it that you like say you like music, but you probably really only like rock music or whatever. I really like music, but I only like sort of certain types of things. I pay a lot of attention to lyrics, and that makes it again especially hard for something like Spotify or Pandora or whatever to understand why I'm rating some things up and not rating other things up, because I really, even if they sound very much alike, they may have very divergent lyrical qualities. But yeah, what I was getting at is, in terms of poetry, I tend to like certain kinds of poetry, this sort of stuff that, on one hand, I like things that my thesis reader or advisor in college would have said was heartbreaking. sometimes heartbreakingly beautiful or lovely, but also heartbreaking in the sort of more conventional ways. And then I tend to like fairly direct stuff. And there's different terms for this, but I like descriptive things that have meanings to them, I guess. It's fairly straightforward with, rather than confessional poetry. I can appreciate, but I don't seek it out as much. So like talking about my own feelings isn't something I speak at as maybe describing that tree over there and letting that tree be a fairly obvious metaphor for something else. Because maybe I'm an emotional coward. Maybe that's it. Anyway, those are some of the things that I've sort of used to self-define in various ways over the past decade and a half. There are others. Christian is definitely one that I refound after college to a significant extent. It faded towards the end of college, in part because I didn't get my act together and find myself a Christian community that I could feel reasonably comfortable with. Though, as Kyle can say, I don't think that comfort should be your number one choice when you're trying to find a community of people you agree, you share these sort of spiritual things with. It should probably be more important that you have a group than that that it's the most comfortable, because discomfort grows you, and you're not just there to feel comfortable. Yeah, but I picked I think a fairly thinky church when I moved further north so that I could reach one. Not that there aren't any further south, just I didn't find them. Or I went on the wrong week. I went to this one church and they were talking about charismatic gifts, so speaking in tongues, interpreting tongues, gift of prophecy, like literal sort of Old Testament style prophecy, things like that, and I freaked out. It turns out it was like the one time that decade they talked about that. The pastor was really, really worried beforehand that they would be alienating people and stuff like that. Definitely had a hard time going back there, even though everything else about the service I really liked. So, yeah, been to a lot of different kinds of churches since. I think I could roll with a lot of them much more readily than I used to be able to. So that's me. But I want to know about you too. I want to know the stuff that you hope to sort of make part of who you are as an identity thing, things you might want to get rid of as an identity. I probably should have gotten into that, but it only came to me now. I'm a coffee snob, but you know that. That came kind of happenstantially, but it's also part of the thing I told Gavin before he went to college, that I try to, in general, choose quality over quantity in things. Yes, that makes some decisions for me in Europa Universalis. I don't even know how to value quality or quantity over quality, frankly. But it also is easy because I'm often playing as the lower manpower country. And I used to always be the short kid, so I guess it all flows to a certain extent. Right. So those are thoughts. I want to hear yours. Let me know.